Live?
I'd like to call to order the Board of Alderman meeting for October 4th, 2021. Thank you everybody for coming. Before we get started, everybody, please make sure the phones are on silent. And our meetings now are recorded, so it's going to pick up all background sounds. So everybody chattering down to them when people call you up to the podium. Make sure everybody talks to the microphone so we can be heard. Because we're all going live. We have roll call, please. Here. 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 Would everybody join me for the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's quite the pledge. First on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. The council report from September 17th, 2021 through September 30th, 2021, and the Board of Alderman meeting minutes September 20th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. We have a roll call, please.
Alderman Proctor? Aye. Alderman Zeman?
Aye.
Alderman Holt? Aye. Alderman Hunt?
Aye. The next on the agenda is ordinance bill number 2021-20, ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for the sale of city-owned property located at 835 and 855 South Main Street. Approved bill number 2021-20 becomes ordinance number 2037. Administrative Director, would you like to explain this item?
Yes, so this item is the properties located on South Main Street at 835 and 855. These properties were converted from the county to the city many years ago. The city actually tore down the former house that was on that property. And since then, we put this property out for bid, received no bid the first round, and the second round we received a bid for $10,000. If this board will recall, a couple meetings ago, it was approved to accept that bid and to proceed forward. So Attorney Voss has drawn up a contract for the sale of the property to authorize the mayor and Mr. Shaw, the property owner who's looking to purchase this property, to execute and begin the process of going through the closure process and getting that property turned over to them. So this is ordinance is to execute that contract and proceed ahead with the sale of the property at this time.
I'd like to make a motion, introduce bill number 2021-20 for first and second reading. Ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of St. Clair to execute a contract for the sale of property located at 835 and 855 South Main Street to Jacob B. Shaw. Second reading and ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of St. Clair to execute a contract for the sale of property located at 835 and 855 South Main Street to Jacob B. Shaw. Is there any discussion?
I move to approve bill number 2021-20 as read.
Second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Proctor? Aye. Alderman Hunt?
Aye.
Alderman Zeman?
Aye.
Alderman Holt? Aye.
The next on the agenda is unfinished business, the building inspector / code enforcement vacancy. When Mr. Bursky retired, we I decided to put together an advisory committee. Two of our aldermen, and Administrator Garber, myself, and Mr. Garcia. And Mr. Garcia was only in there for resource and for questions. We went out to the public, we advertised it, to advertisement on MML as well as the paper. All of us agreed, after going through the applications, agreed that we would interview. We all interviewed those applicants. We all decided to eliminate an applicant. And then unfortunately, we're in a world where people can pretty much ask for anything right now, they can go anywhere to work, so that man kind of eliminated himself. Which left us with Kimberly Miller, who the board has voted to be interim. She's done this position, she's been 15 years, heating and cooling. She's done a job well. She was inside our city, she's familiar with our city. And two of our people wanted to go back out to the public. Two of us agreed that we have the right person to sit right in front of us. Financially speaking, with the description of this job, there's no way we're gonna go out and find the perfect person. I think we owe it to our town and our citizens to do the right thing. Tim Miller's done an outstanding job for us. And I want to appoint Kimberly Miller, building inspector.
I voted no on Kimberly Miller for this position. And I just, as an alderman, first thing, Alderman, said a couple meetings ago that there's no place for personal stuff in here. That basically is what he was saying. And I didn't understand what he meant at first. But then I got thinking about it, and when we walk through that door, our personal feelings have nothing to do with anything. Because whether I like Travis or he likes me, or I like you, or you like me, that has nothing to do with anything. Once we sit up here, I vote my conscience. I'm Christian, I'm gonna say this, I pray before every meeting, I pray that I say and do the right thing. And I don't think I should have to tell why I voted no for Kimberly Miller for code enforcer, but I'm going to tell you why. I don't think she's the right person for that job. I think Kimberly Miller is an excellent employee, and she has that excellent idea for the whole time she's been here. Other people have helped her incorporate them, other people have helped her accomplish them, and everybody's worked together. I think she's one of the biggest cheerleaders St. Clair has right now. And I don't think that the code enforcer is the job for her. I don't mean this in any way bad. I just think a code enforcer should be somebody that's, when you go to somebody's door and say, sir, you have to move your trailer by noon tomorrow because you've been there longer than 72 hours, it needs to be someone forceful. It needs to be someone with authority who's people are gonna look up to and say, yes, sir, I'll do that, or yes, ma'am, yes, sir, I'll get that done. Kimberly's a very sweet lady, and I don't know how forceful she can be, but I think that she's more suited for a different position, and that is why I've been voting no on this situation. And I just want to say, I think she would be excellent for our community as a community planner. We need somebody that with a vision, somebody that will meet with people, and I know she's done it in the past, and she's done a good job. I just don't think the code enforcer is the job for her. That is why I've been voting no, and that's why I still feel it. I will vote no, because I don't feel that's the job for her. I think she's better suited somewhere else.
I know Mike Mercy was one standard for all. We talked about the same thing. Matter of fact, he gave her pretty glowing performance reviews. And there should be personal, but what was just said is the exact same thing I heard in the conference last week. So there are talks behind this committee that I put together for this position at hand. So however the board wants to vote, there's no need for the advisory committee. I'm gonna make my appointment. You guys can vote, but I think you need to vote considering the citizens of this town. Somebody being familiar with this town, I'm speaking. Somebody that's familiar and not from outside, because none of those people had every single qualification. She is just as qualified, if not more, because you weren't in on the years. 15 years he didn't do it. That says a lot. So does knowing our ordinances and our codes. So does knowing our contractors, our landlords, our citizens, people that come in. The chamber refers people there about vacant buildings or businesses that want to come to town. So unless someone can give a valid reason as to not, you can vote her interim. So why can we not vote her as that? It was also said, when we were doing the interviews, one man asked who was going to train him, and it was stated that the assistant would train him. So if you can train up, then you're qualified to lead that position if you're going to train for that position. That's what I feel is, I think those beliefs, you know, that is very always. It was, but believe it or not, but I have not looked at it. I am not even over that word. I've made my appointment. I've stated every logical reason, the facts, and looking out for this community. That's how I feel.
I was on the committee and I had voiced then that I felt like it was in the best interest of the city to keep this appointment on the table, but to go ahead and seek other applications, see what else was out there, put it on maybe a few other sources that reach other communities and other industries, and then look at giving also at the same time, Kimberly would have time to continue on the job training. And I am not at all saying that she couldn't do the job. And I know she knows our codes and our ordinances, but I do feel like she doesn't have quite that strong construction background, the blueprint background, the comfortability with some aspects of the job. Can she learn those? I don't doubt that she can, but I think that working with her strengths and the community development that she has been so wonderful at, but bringing someone else in that has a little bit more experience in reading blueprints and doing things that she has expressed she's not comfortable with would preserve the safety of our citizens in these inspections that deal with things that could have catastrophic events, electricity and plumbing and debts and supports, things that need someone that has building and construction experience. I think we need another set of eyes on them. So I'm not, in my opinion, I would like to see us table this appointment, not vote no, but just table it, not vote yes, but table it for a time period in the future that would allow us to see other applications. Maybe we won't get anything. Like you said, everybody can go where they want. We don't have that much to offer. But at least then we will know that we have done our best to get the best candidate for the citizens of St. Clair, and then make that decision over it.
I was wondering if I could ask a question of Attorney Laws. My name is Kimberly Miller, and I have a question for Attorney Laws. And in the 2 years that I've been here,
and that I've been in municipal court with, residents. Did I ever seem like I was, unsure of myself or wishy-washy, or that I couldn't enforce what the code was?
I'm not gonna answer any questions about what job you did or didn't do. I'm not part of the hiring committee, I'm not part of the recommending committee, I'm not part of the voting committee, so no, I will not answer that question. I just will not.
Okay, thank you.
Kimberly? I don't feel that you've done anything wrong. I just feel that you, as the cheerleader for St. Clair, could do amazing things as a developer.
But just because I'm a cheerleader for St. Clair doesn't mean that I can't enforce the code.
No,
If anything, I have enforced the code, honestly, in my opinion, more than anyone in the past. When I first started in this position, I repeatedly heard, "We never had to do that before, we never had to do that before," all the time. And there's a way to approach people about that. You know, I say, well, first off, let's get on the same page, let me explain this to you. Let's understand what the code is, because if they're pushing back on me, obviously there's something missing there. Because as I stated in my interviews, this isn't Kimberly Millerville, this is St. Clair. So let me explain to you what the codes are, or whatever the situation is, let me explain to you what that is, and let's work together on that. And there's a way to talk to people about that. As far as reading blueprints and that, you know, I'm gonna read blueprints, but there's an engineer that wrote those up. They're the ones that are responsible for that. I'm doing the inspections to make sure that that blueprint is followed. And when I go on a job site, I say to the workers that are there, what do we have today? What are we looking at? And I videotape it, and I say to them, from December until March, when Mike came back, I did this job by myself. And there were people that helped out with inspections, but otherwise, when they didn't, I videotaped the inspections and came back. And I went over them with my supervisor, and I would say to them at the job site, "Tell me what we have here." And I would videotape it, and I would say, "Now, when I take this back to my supervisor, what is he gonna wanna see that I may have missed? You tell me, make sure that I have the right information." So they always educated me. And when I was on a job site recently, I noticed that the footings, the rebar in the footings was different sizes. So explain this to me. I noticed that this is larger than what we inspected over here. Here's why. And they're very forthcoming with information. And he said to me, the contractor on site said, "You know, it doesn't matter what you say or do, this is following what the engineer said." So for this 23,000 square foot property, if I say, "No, that's not right," then I'm taking the responsibility of that. We're going back to the blueprint. So I show up on site over here at Dollar Tree. I show up on site with the building, with the plans, and I say, "What is this?" I talk to Jason, explain this to me. And when I go there, every one of them want to tell me all about their job. They're very open and forthcoming. They want me to learn that. And I can. And I don't think that there is any inspector that came here with all of that. And sometimes I think they just trusted that this looks right and a reputable contractor. So I am gonna sign off on it because that's what the plans show. I'm not gonna know everything, but as Mike said when he recommended me for this position, I may not know it, but I'll find out. I know where to look, and I will, and I'll get that information. I don't think there's anybody with a bigger heart, and you're right, I don't have all of that experience, but I don't think it's really I don't really think it's a decision about me, whether or not I can do the job. I think there are other things that are involved, and I'm just collateral damage. So, that's how I feel about it.
Sorry, you feel that way.
Yes.
I appreciate what all the like that open house in regards to open house, you don't necessarily need a bulldog knocking on the door. Sometimes the poodle will get more yes on the head than the bulldog will. You know, and as far as all the facts said, now maybe that is a good way to go, to put it out again, but let's go through the process first. You know, as I said in the committee meeting today, I don't think going out again is gonna bring the best of the best here
wrong with learning on the job, especially at the salary we're paying. She seems willing to want to learn, she wants to do this job. And as I said in the meeting, if she doesn't work out, you fire her. I'm sure she's decent enough human being to take that and just walk out the door if she doesn't do the job. Or she could be moved to a different position, in the position that she has now. She's quite capable of it. But give her a chance. I mean, she wants to learn. She wants to get the proper certificate. I don't see what's wrong with that for the money that's there. And we have one gentleman, as the mayor said, wanted a tremendous amount of money, more than what we had offered in the application. The others that we interviewed, I don't know how to say this, well, one of them looked good on paper, but as I said in the meeting, and then he spoke. It was clear that he wasn't right for the job, at any money at all. So I say give her a chance, and, let's go through the motion here, let's do what we supposed to do here. I would make the motion. I'm not making it right at this moment because all the process is spoken. I would make the motion. However, when it's time to make that motion, this conversation is not over yet.
I would say that I too would like to see the position go out back out there and do our due diligence to make sure that every option has been looked at. I received a call today on LinkedIn, and I got to speak with her for some time. She's a very interesting, sweet lady. She had nothing but good things to say about me. And honestly, I really appreciate you coming up and speaking. It gave me some insight that I didn't have prior to this board meeting. I really think that, and what Mayor Cozy was referring to earlier was I had came up with the idea that maybe we could have you stay in your assistant role, but also have a part-time, so we would take your 40 hours a week, 20 towards assistant, 20 towards community development, certification type role. It was simply just an idea, wasn't received well, so it stopped there, but I did not speak with Alderman Counts prior to tonight, so that simply was just one thing. I still think that you would be best in that position. I think hopefully once our budget gets to the place that we can have a department for beautification, you could be, I could easily see you as the department head of that department. I think you do very well at that. But honestly, I think you'll do well in whatever you choose. So I too would like to go back out and make sure that we get whatever, put the job post back out there, make sure that we get, do our due diligence for the city, but, if that doesn't return anything, then I think somebody would do a good job, and I think you would learn what you need to learn. I make a motion to table the appointment of Kimberly Miller until we have additional time to post the position.
see this coming because things have been said outside the field. We can nominate and vote someone as an interim. We can say that we're gonna train them. We can say that in 2 weeks, after we've done our due diligence, which we have, went out to the public and all of that, then we'll decide it's okay, but not now. So I don't know what the difference is. I really do not get it. I said in a few meetings, you trust your department heads. Really trust, they're the ones that are in there doing the job, they see what's being done. As a matter of fact, I believe Ron Bloom said it as well, and he did not seem to have this issue. So whatever it may be, the advisory committee will no longer be needed. If you decide to take one and go out to the public, it will be my discretion, gratification, as it was my appointment. I played fair, and let everybody get involved. We went out to the public. So, where you go from here, this is on the board, what's happening. Where the board goes, I don't know that anybody, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but we cannot be together. Three aldermen or more cannot be together at any time. So if Alderman Phelan and Mrs. Brosser were in the grocery store talking and I walked down the aisle, I would have to turn around and go the other way. We can't be together at any time to talk. That's the law, the sunshine law. It's against the law if we do that. We don't talk to each other. You know. This is the only time we're legally able to talk about things. And that may sound silly, but that's the law. Am I correct?
I just want to clarify, there's nothing illegal about all three of you being in the grocery store together at the same time. That's okay.
In
In
the
the
same
grocery
aisle.
store, we're like, but if you get up and say, hey, what do you think we're gonna do about this? Then you're violating the sunshine law. You can all be at the street festival together, that's fine. You can talk, how's the weather doing, what do you think about this, and it's the neat event. You just can't talk city business. Once three of you are together talking city business, then you violated the sunshine law. There's nothing illegal about the councilors calling you up and saying, hey, what do you think about the appointment coming up tonight? And you two can have a discussion, and then you call up another one and have a discussion. That's legal. What you can't do is all three of you get together in one time without the public being able to be present. That's so that's just a clarification of what they're.
I know in the past when I was an alderman, we didn't want to give that appearance, so we never did that.
Certainly can't even have the appearance if the three of you aren't together.
That's right.
Great for you.
So, and I've never called anybody to chit chat about a meeting, and I haven't received calls. I don't want to give that appearance that anything is wrongdoing, so. I don't know why you think we have wrongdoing, but it's not. I wasn't accusing you. There was something that was said. There was something that was said at the conference. I'm not sure. In the classroom at a conference this past week. After Alderman Prosser brought up reevaluating Kim's job. In the classroom, she said, really, that we're going to put her. So that's what I'm referring to. There was already something going on before.
Yes, and I was referring to the fact that 3 times we have brought before the board, making Kimberly interim. 3 times we were told no. So now you're asking us to appoint her to.
That's all voted right now. And we just went through the entire interview process, which we're not a part of.
So are
We
you
all went through the
saying,
applications and the interview. We went out to the public already, but now you're saying 2 more weeks is gonna make a difference, whether she can be appointed or not. 2 more weeks. makes a difference. We have went through this process. If there's no further discussion, I think we need to take a roll call.
We're going
Next on the agenda is new business. We have a street closure request for the St. Clair Downtown District Friendly Festival of Fright, Saturday, October 23rd, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Main Street from Grant to Springfield. Administrator Director, would you care to insight?
Yes, so this was brought to us from the St. Clair Downtown District. They have done this similar event in the past. I believe both Carrie Ealer and Christine Constantino here on behalf of the Downtown District, as well as Lori Gratzer. They're both pointing to her. To answer any questions, the event's from 2 to 7 and closure from 12 to 8. In your packet with them, all of their information, but I'm sure Lori has more to present as well.
So we have done this in the past. We are changing it a little bit more to a family-friendly event this year instead of more mental. So we're moving the time up, starting it earlier in the day and closing it down by 7. But other than that, just doing a lot of trick-or-treating, activities and events, stuff and sunset. Motion to approve the street closure request.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Thompson. Aye. Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Hunt.
Aye.
Alderman Hunt. Aye.
Next on the agenda is the Franklin County Municipal League Dinner at Jesuit Hall, Washington, Missouri, Wednesday, October 20th, starting at 6. If any of the aldermen would like to go, please contact some French by this evening. Correct? Next on the agenda is a fireworks request for Roots Church at their property on October 23rd. Administrator Director, would you like to explain this act?
Yes, so each year, anytime there's a request for any type of fireworks outside of July 3rd, 4th, or 5th, the request has to come before the board for their approval, because by ordinance, you're not allowed to shoot fireworks off outside of that time. We did receive a request with a map and a little bit of an explanation from Roots Church. Star Rodriguez here to help answer any questions. I believe it's an event they're holding for some of their volunteers on their property. I don't believe it's a public event that they're really advertising, but just if you want to explain any more or add any more. One update, I know they've been in contact with the fire department as well regarding their license and permit that's required with them. It will be shut off by a professional company as well.
So it'll be, this fireworks will start at 7 p.m. It'll be over at 7:40-ish. Usually that's a 45-minute show. We usually have it at the Orchard Park, but this year we're having it on property, which is probably 35 West. And like I said, it'll be done by professionals, all by them. And the map shows you that we kind of far away from public. Because it's not a public event. I mean, you'll see the fireworks. You're more than welcome to look at them, I don't care. You won't be anywhere close to them, I guarantee it. Motion to approve the fireworks request for Roots Church.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hunt. Aye. Alderman Hunt.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman
If we're across the highway at 7:45, we'll see the show. Next on the agenda is budget meeting. We need to schedule in October.
Yes, so the budget process is upon us this year again, and the budget worksheets have been provided to the department heads. They are to get those back to myself so I can begin inputting them and updating them on the 22nd of October. So either looking at sometime during the last week in October, or preferably actually after reviewing this, looking at the first week in November. And then we'll have another my request would that, just to ensure that we give every department heads enough time and myself enough time to input that we make that sometime during the first week in November. And then we'll schedule another one in the late November. In the past, we've done a lunch meeting till around noon, kind of a workshop where we come in, have lunch and just go through the budget process, explain everything. It's about a 1.5 to 2 hour process, depending on any questions and what goes on. But just need some direction from the board on those dates and times.
I can do pretty much any day but Thursday that week, Thursday the fourth is out for me. But lunchtime or other 4 days is fine. Monday the first.
Monday the first, you want to do noon?
How long is
Depending on, since we're doing 2 this year, this one might go a little faster, but I would say plan on an hour and a half.
Next on the agenda, Attorney Moss, you have any?
Nothing there.
Departmental report, Administrator Becker.
Yeah, I have 4 quick items. They're mainly just informational items. The first item is that same week, that first week in November,